This is going to be quite a simple lesson, and using a very simple graphic that I actually altered in Zona Draw from an actual text, which was a TrueType font. So I'm just going to open the image. I'm just going to surf through till I find my car image. It's simple artwork. Auto select, do not generate background color, automatically pick the background color, and resize after inserting. And I'm just going to click OK. I'm going to change the size down to 98. If I hit my tab on my keyboard, you'll notice that the right hand side also changes because I've got maintain aspect ratio checked. So I'm going to click OK. Now I'm just going to move that into my work area. You'll notice that my toolbars have been disconnected from the actual program. This is because I have to reduce it down if I want to make a video for you to watch. Now first of all, I'm going to hold down my control key and I'm going to right click on these areas because I don't want them, and I'm just going to hold down my control key and hit my delete key. Now I can actually generate, and it will generate all that green area of my graphic. Now I'd also like to generate the window area, so I'm going to go to my magic tool, click on it. You'll notice I have a menu open here, so I'm just going to hit my enter key, and that's digitized and generated that part of the design. I'm going to do the same again, just hit my enter key, and again I have the design. Now I'm just going to escape to move from that cursor. Now I'm just going to do something a little bit different for the tires. What I'm going to do is going to grab my circle tool, and I'm just going to drag a circle roughly the size of what is already there. Now you can see I've actually made a tire over the top. So I'm going to Control C and Control V. That means I've copied and pasted on top, and I'm just going to drag it across to the other side. Now I've actually got two wheels for my car. If I actually use those now, they will sew on top of that green area. So I'm going to select the green part of the car. I'm going to go to my Edit Outline button up the top here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a void using an existing area. And the existing area is that circle that I just made. So if I click on that and generate, I've now removed the areas behind the two circles that I created. Now I'm going to actually select Control C and Control V. That's given me another tire on top. Now I'm going to go to my resize button, and I'm going to resize that down to around about 18 and click OK. Still not reduced far enough, so I might reduce it down to 15. Click OK. Okay, that's looking a lot better. So you can see it. I'm just going to select it on my stitch sequence window, and now I've got the center for my tire. Control C and Control V, and I have a center for my other tire. I'm just going to place it in the middle there. Now I need to select the outside areas of those tires. Go to my Edit Outline, right click and create a void, again using existing area. This time I'm going to use those circles that I made, and I'm going to generate. Now I've got my Now I've got my two tires with my two circles, and I'm not worrying at all about the colors at the moment or the fact that I'm still on Auto Judge up the top here. Now if we do a quick 3D view, that's a very quick car. Now if I wanted to, I can actually grab those two areas, which is the white areas of the car, and I can slide them up the order so that they will stitch first. You'll notice that's the right hand window with my in and my out points. I'm going to leave the in point but move my out point by dragging it with my left mouse button, and I'm just going to generate to make sure it generated. Now the angle of that is on 45 degrees. I hate 45 degrees. It will put me on the cross grain of my fabric if I have a square piece in my hoop. So I'm just going to move it off it slightly, again dragging it with my left mouse button, and I'm going to generate. Now I'm going to select the other window, and I'm going to move my in point to the top and my out point over to the left hand side and generate. Go back to my first window, and where my out point is, I'm going to grab my manual running tool, freehand line tool, and from where I finish the out point, I'm just going to make a couple of left clicks, enter, escape, and generate, and I've made a running line. I'm going to move the out point across. I'm going to change the color to white. I'm going to right click and move to position 2 and click OK. That places my running stitch between my two windows. While it's still selected, I'm going to hit my space bar, go to my tie off and take out the enable. Click apply OK. Now I have my right window stitching to the out point. I have a running stitch. If you've got double run up there, just change it to run. It will run across and go to my next window. Again, that's set at 45 degrees. I'm just going to move it off a fraction and click OK and generate. Okay, now we're going to machine out those two windows. I'm going to actually right click and move to bottom, and I'm going to grab the two center parts of my tire. I'm going to move them up the order. Didn't quite work, so I'll hold down my control click and I move them up the order again. So I've finished down here. This is the one that I want to do next. So I'm just going to leave my in point where it is and leave the out point up here. Now I'm going to go back to my window, see where my out point is, and I'm going to run another running stitch down to where the in point of the center of the tire was. I want my in, I want my out. I'm going to change it to yellow so that it's the same color. I'm going to move it up between the two. I'm going to hit my space bar, tie off, and turn those off. Okay, now I've placed that in the wrong place. I wanted that actually before that first tire, and I needed that white, not yellow. I'm ahead of myself. So now we have window, running stitch, down to the top of the center of the tire. I'm just going to move that over a fraction. Now where the out point is, I'm going to do another running stitch across to the top. Move the in point. Now I'll change it to yellow, move it up the line, hit my space bar, turn off my tie off, apply and OK. Now I'm going to make sure my in point is up here where I had my running stitch, and I'm going to move my out point just to the side and generate. Now just to make sure everything is generated where I want it, I'm just going to hold down my shift key and generate everything. Now the next part of the tire is actually over here, so I'm just going to change these in order, and I'm going to make sure that the in point of my tire is where the out point finishes, and I'm going to bring this over to this side and generate. Now I want a running stitch across to my other tire. Again, I'm just going to run it across, hit enter, escape, move my in and my out points, make sure it's running stitch, hit my space bar, turn off and move it up the line. Now I should have a tire, a running stitch, and make sure that this is going to start and that's going to end over here, and I'll generate. And the car now will start and end. If we go to our window and watch it machine out, you will see what I mean. Now you can't actually see my bar because it's actually out of the screen. Now I can't actually move this, well I could move it across, but it's not going to actually see that unless I move it out here, and that's going to waste. Okay, now we can do it. Now you can see I did the running stitch and across to a window. Now I'm not going to let that run all the way through because it's going to waste time. It will make the video much larger, so I'm going to turn it off and move that back in my window a fraction so that you can see it better. Okay, now we have some dodgy colours here. The windows, I'm going to select, not the running stitches, go to complex fill and generate. Go to the center points of my tire plus my running stitch, and I'll change the colour. Select these two areas. I'm going to just change to a complex fill, going to hit my space bar, go to complex, and I'm just going to select the 4 pair and click OK, apply, and OK again. For my tyres, just going to hold down my control key, just change to a complex fill and generate. Now I don't particularly like that colour, so I'll change my tyres to black. And my car I'll make red. Again, go to my complex fill, and I'm just going to select one of my patterns. I'll just do that one for the sake of arguing. Okay, and there we have a 3D view of a very quick car. Make sure you save it as you go along. Now I'm going to save this, and then we're going to come back and play around with this car.